Also, funny quick tip before we begin, if you've ever wanted to make your boyfriend look ridiculous, put him in a trash bag because it actually helps the cutting process. All right, here we
Okay,
go.
whatever you say.
First, let's do this. Trash bag.
On my phone.
All right, so we're going to start with the 13 millimeter clipper. And for those who use numbers, that's the number 4. And the goal with this first step is really to thin out the hair. So as you can see, my boyfriend has really thick hair, which is why I had to do this multiple times. But you want to start at the bottom of the section that you're doing and have an upwards motion to go towards the ceiling. And the goal is to go around the full head at least once as a first step. And next, you're going to grab your pair of scissors. As you can see, I only had kitchen ones, but we are in quarantine. And your goal here is to trim off any extra hair that might be a little bit too thick that isn't getting cut with the clippers. And again, the texture of my boyfriend's hair is a bit more wavy and thick, so there was about an inch that I'm cutting off here. And I'm doing this all around the base of his head, as well as any other sections where the clippers couldn't get rid of the extra hair. But if your boyfriend has shorter hair, then you can probably skip that step, or you might only need to cut off about half an inch or less. So next we're going to use the 10 millimeter, which is the number 3, and you might actually be able to skip this step as well if you were happy with the length of the 13 millimeter, but we realized that it's a little bit longer than we usually like with his hair, so we're using the 10 millimeter to again go all around the head, start from the bottom with an upwards motion towards the ceiling, just to make his hair a little bit shorter. And if you're wondering where to stop or how high to go, I went about 2 to 2.5 inches above the ear. And as you can see, I'm going all the way around his head, similar to what we did in step 1. So make sure you go from one side to the other to capture or get rid of all of the hair. And next, you want to go around the head with a pair of scissors and cut any extra hair that is too thick for the clippers. And make sure you go both on the sides but also on top of the head. And here I'm cutting about half an inch. 6 millimeter. Okay, so now you will be grabbing or using the 6 millimeter, and we will be following a similar motion as we have, which is going towards the ceiling. And the goal here is to go all around the head from the bottom to the top. But the point of this step is to smooth the transition from the bottom part of the head and the hair to the top part. So the goal here is to really even out the look, because right now it might look like there's a bush or something growing on the top of your boyfriend's or whoever's head. So I'm going to grab the camera to come a little closer, and you can actually see what this looks like up close from your point of view if you're the person who's cutting the hair. But the goal really is to, when using the clippers, have a motion that starts at the bottom and goes up towards the ceiling. So similar to what we've been doing, and you can kind of flick at the part where you'll see a lot of hair. As you can see, his hair is pretty thick, which is why this is taking multiple times. So if someone has straight hair or thin hair, this should be pretty easy and a quick way to start evening out that transition. And a quick reminder to make sure you go all around the head as we have been doing with all these steps. You want to make sure you're going from side to side and covering all parts. And I actually wanted to show you a more zoomed in or closer up view of what it's like to smooth that transition. As a reminder, I'm still using that 6 millimeter. And as you can see, I'm using a quick flicking motion to get at the hair. Again, his hair is a bit thicker and wavier, so I had to do it a few times. But if someone has straight hair, this should be pretty easy. And again, it's a quick flicking motion. Okay, so back to the scissors. You want to grab your scissors again, and this is where you're going to go in 1/2 inch increments. You can do more if you know for a fact that you want the length to be a lot shorter, but I like to use 1/2 inches just to play it safe, and you want to go both on the sides, or cut both on the sides and on top. Let's put this more in. Where are you?
I'm gonna hate this angle.
Just did a quick switch of angles so you can see the front of his face, but I'm basically cutting 1/2 inch increments at the top until I get it to the length I like. Okay, we're getting to the final steps. So here you actually want to clean up the bottom parts of the haircut. So I'm using the 3mm, which is also the one. Just want you to know that this is pretty short, but we like that look. So take a look at and see if that's your preferred amount or preferred length. If you don't like this length, I'd recommend using the 6mm or the 2, but my goal here is to go around the back of the head and at the bottom parts of the hair, and you can shape it however you like. As you can see, I'm doing a little bit of a square kind of shape, whereas some people like the V in the back, but I'm basically cleaning the bottom parts of his hair to cut off any extra or thick hair and have it have a cleaner look at the bottom. And again, as with all of these steps, make sure you go all around the head to cover each section. And yes, that is his family that he's FaceTiming, but the good news is that if you give them, so them being your boyfriend or whoever's hair you're cutting, a game, a show to watch on Netflix, or just schedule them for a FaceTime, the whole salon experience will fly by and they'll have a great time. And just final note here, you can see again that I'm making it more of that square shape, so feel free to clean it up in whatever shape feels right for you. Woohoo! So we are at the final step, and that is to use the 6mm clipper or the 2 to blend the transition between using that 3mm and getting into the rest or the bottom part of the hair. So as you can see, I'm going where I just cut the hair and going a little bit above it to blend that final transition to give it a little bit of a fade look. And one other thing I didn't show here, but if you do want to cut a little bit more hair at the top of the head, that's a totally fine last step. We were happy with the look that we had cut previously, but if you do think the hair is still too long at the top, feel free to use the scissors and cut another 1/2 inch or keep cutting until you get happy with the look that you like. And drum roll, boom! Here's the final look. It looks really sleek. I think it's pretty fresh. It's a good way to give someone a fancy looking haircut, but for free.